So why do you think you can go to your doctor when you run into one of these major problems and they will give you the right solution? Especially if it's your common practitioner that has been working with you for your whole life or for many years. Like, why does it even have to get to that point where you are at this ease? Why does it even have to get to that point where you cannot live your life anymore because of something that came up with your health, right? Like, if it's a good doctor, they should have helped you prevent the situation. A good doctor should be able to show you where your blind spots are and show you how to live a healthy lifestyle. That's part of being a good practitioner. But it's not happening these days, okay? So the medical system is not built this way. The medical system does not reward a health doctor and a health practitioner if they focus on that type of work, right? The systems are slightly different, like if you look at the US and if you look at the European systems, for example, they're slightly different. I know the German system inside out. I know the US system pretty well. I know a couple other systems like in South America and Spain and UK, because I've lived in all of these places, so I know all these places and I know all these different ways how they're run. And it just simply means that you have to take that part into your own hands, okay? You cannot let someone else and let someone that just got the certificate by the government decide over your health, because you won't stay healthy in the long run. Just believe me, it's the way it is, okay? Like the system is built on symptom treatment and on medication and drugs, and not on preventative medicine, and not on holistic approaches, and not on soft approaches that it requires some foresight, okay? And that's the crucial part that you have to understand, and you have to understand it now, because if you don't, then you will just run into health problems eventually. It's just a matter of time. It's not like if you are going to, it's sure that you will, because we are exposed to so many toxins on a daily basis, and your system just simply cannot deal with that by itself. Okay, your body is highly intelligent, but these new toxins that were introduced into the market and how they are built and where they are stored and where the body puts them, you cannot expect it to detox all of that at the same time, and then you're still ingesting toxins all the time as well, so it just cannot keep up anymore, right? Like, it's impossible. It's simply impossible to keep up. So you have to get going, you have to start learning about these topics, because even if you have someone that shows you or that tells you, okay, now you have to do this and this and that, and then you're done with this protocol in a month or 2 or in 6, you still have to live your life after that, and you cannot be expecting someone to hold your hand all the time, okay? So what does that mean? It means you have to understand the basics. You have to understand how the basics work and how you can integrate as much as possible by yourself into your daily life, right? How can you mitigate exposure to certain toxins on a daily basis? How can you mitigate doing stupid stuff that just has no value to your system and to your body and brain and gut and mind, right? Because there are so many things that you're not aware of that just put you in a shitty spot, and it just does not help if you are blind to that, right? So you have to understand those. There's many different little angles that you can take, and many levers, and it's in the end, it's just basic understanding of all these different angles and topics, and all the stuff that I talk about all the time. I'm not going to repeat everything, but it's crucial that you switch from, okay, this other person is going to do this for me, to I'm going to take care of myself, because this is what you have to do. It doesn't matter if even if you pay for a high intensity one-on-one mentorship with me, we work together basically on a daily basis, because you have direct access to me via messaging, over a couple months. Even during that time, I will show you how to do this, right? Like how to take care of yourself, because once I'm gone, you will be by yourself, right? It's the same with the addiction topics that I used to talk about more, right? It's the same thing, like people go to a clinic and they go to a detox clinic, and in there everything's fine, they're taken care of, they know what to do, right? There are no drugs in there, there's no temptations, there's no no wrong turns that can be taken. And as soon as they're out, they're gonna push through with a little willpower for a couple of weeks, and then boom, the next opportunity arises and you're back on the train, right? So you have to learn how to live your life by yourself, right? Like this is the crucial part about it. You cannot rely on somebody else to do it for you. It doesn't matter in what field and in what capacity, it's basically everything. You can always look for someone to give you advice, and that's good, that's really needed at times as well, and to like show you how stuff is done. But ultimately you have to walk the path yourself. You cannot expect someone else to walk it for you. Your own 2 feet are there to be used, in a metaphorical way, right? You have to walk it yourself. And so this is what it is. This is basically what I had to learn as well, throughout my story and throughout my path with addictions, and a lot of wrong choices, and financials, and like many of these topics, where I relied on external, experts, let's say, right? And where I relied on external help, and where I thought, okay, if I use this consultant, my business will be fine, and if I pay this, external agency, my business will grow, and all this crap, like it was always a more bumpy road, that's for sure. Not always the wrong decision, but it was always the more bumpy choice. And as soon as I switched from, give this to the external, give the work, to the external, to, okay, I take full responsibility for myself and for my business and for everything I'm doing, and I pulled that back into my own sphere, and I put in the work, and I put in the work to fully get it and to fully understand it, things started to pick up, things start to change, and things start to work, right? And people look at building a business, especially if they've never built a business, that's they look at it from a purely numerical standpoint, and it's very abstract and stuff like that. But in the end, it's just a relentless self-development journey, because you're always the bottleneck as the founder or as the CEO. It all comes down to you, fixing and seeing where your blind spots are, and working on those. And once you've found those, your business miraculously starts growing as well, and your problems, they start disappearing. So while I was still in active addiction back in the day, and I was working on stuff and building stuff, and I had external employees, I had like contractors and all that kind of stuff in those businesses, and it would always be problematic in the end, but it would, in hindsight, it was just me, it was always me not being fully there, right? Because my attention was split, my attention was split between what I was doing, between my business, my addiction, and whatever else was going on. So I wasn't fully focused, and that's why I made mistakes, and that's why I let in and invited in wrong partners and wrong people, and the wrong choices in the end. So full responsibility, every fuck up that I did is on me. Even if someone does you wrong and you invited them into your life and they betray you, all that stuff, that's all there to show you that you're on the wrong road, you're on the wrong path. And I'm so glad for all these people that did me wrong and that betrayed me. And back then I thought it was the end of the world at some point. I really felt like this is it. How the fuck did I get here? So yeah, as I said, this is all needed. You need these types of people, and I'm so grateful for them. And these people probably not watching this, but like when you experience betrayal on such a deep level, where people are conspiring behind your back and building cases behind your back and pretending to be friends and up to you and in front of you, and then in the background a lot of that backstabbing is happening, and then you find out, and this is really that point where you can either fold, or you can start working on yourself, right? And this is what I did. It took me a while, but I made it out. So I'm very grateful for these people, because they were initially, or ultimately, they were part of the catalyst that put me in this new life that I'm in right now, and that catapulted me into this new life, right? So ultimately I'm very grateful for them. I'm very thankful for them, because without them I wouldn't be here, right? So yeah, whatever you're going through, if you're going through a hard time, just know that it's not the end, and if you use that phase that you're in as a breeding ground for growth and for change, it's just ultimately gonna be a much better life, and you will come out stronger. Okay, so just take full responsibility for whatever is happening in your life. Stop finger pointing at other people and like looking for faults in others and all this shit, because it's not gonna help you. Take full ownership for your own decisions. If you make a wrong decision, good. If you make a good decision, even better. But ultimately, if you take a wrong turn, readjust, deal with the problems. Don't push them to the side. The longer you wait to deal with them, the harder it will get to get out of it, right? That's just the way it is. So, don't overreact. That's, one of the things that are crucial. Don't overreact. Stay calm, stay collected, do your practices, stick to your movement. Find some time to do some meditation each day, and make sure you're not fucking wasting your focus on scrolling and all that crap. We're all guilty of this. I really hardly know anyone that's really good at this, because these systems are built this way that you're just constantly moving this thumb. Right, like it's just horrible how smart these systems are built to keep us engaged and to keep us locked in. And half an hour later, 1 hour later, you notice, fuck man, what did I do here, right? So control your social media and tech consumption, and make sure you don't do it first thing in the morning and just before you go to bed. And if you can, put your phone outside of your room, and don't charge it next to your bed, that's for sure. Okay. switch your Wi-Fi off at night, all that stuff, right? So let me know in the comments if any of this resonated, if you know this made sense to you. If something doesn't make sense to you, feel free to comment, and I'll see you in the next one.